This is the Inner Peacemaker Parent Podcast, which is all about Christ-centered self-care. My name is Cassandra Kimball, and this is episode 8, Daily Transitions. There was a children's television program that started back in the 60s called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Today, I wanted to point out two specific things that I remember Fred Rogers, the main host of this educational kid show, did near the beginning of each episode. So Fred sings a song while he changes from his work shoes and his sports jacket to a cozy sweater or cardigan and blue sneakers. Now, this is a seemingly small routine, but in preparation for this episode, I read a couple articles written about the intentional reasons for this addition to the show. They expressed efforts to wanting to create a welcoming and comfortable vibe, as well as like a sign to kids of, I'm in my play clothes now. I'm ready to meet you kids in that world together, right? I'm ready to meet you in that world. He was preparing himself and the kids for a transition. So that's what we're talking about today are those daily transitions, a small thing, right? Like he was going from work to play mode, right? It's a transition, it's something different. And now I'm not pointing this out to teach like we need to sing and change our clothes for every or any of our transitions that we go through. But instead, I just wanted to focus on my goal today is to help us take a step back for a moment and just observe your life. Kind of like a detective, right? We're just like taking a step back and we're looking at all the things in our life. We're just going to be taking a step back to observe your transitions, your day-to-day routines, and kind of like just reflect on some of your those transitions that even if there's just one that maybe has some unneeded stress that's adding to your life or to your kids' lives, right? We want to see if we can find them. We're going to be compassionate towards that transition if it is stressful. We're going to be compassionate towards you as the parent for whatever the chaos is, right? We just want to be really compassionate, very kind. And then let's see if we can get creative to better support that transition to feel less chaotic internally for you. I first even became aware that transitions was even a thing from one of my mentors, Jody Moore. She helped explain to me that there is a little bit of internal chaos that happens in the brain whenever we shift to a new task or like a different role in our day, right? Like that Mr. Rogers, right? He was shifting from work mode into relating or being with kids in their imaginary world, right? That's a different role, a different hat you put on, right? Like it's a different task. So some shifts or transitions are easier than other transitions. For example, the transition to getting up from sleeping. That's a transition, right? It's challenging for some people. A lady got coached on how she likes to hit snooze for over an hour and a half each day. That transition is hard for her, right? Another woman once shared that the transition right before making dinner, her dinner prep time, was so stressful for her. That transition was every day. It just, there was this discomfort. And she didn't like thinking about all the things. Like it just felt like this chaos, right? Of like, what am I going to make? And do I have all the ingredients? And will the kids even like it? Or will they even try it? Or do I have a clean pan to make it on? And just so on, right? That's not a fun transition for some people. On the other hand, right, we're talking about how transitions are harder for some people, some are easy and for you, right? Some are like so practiced, we don't even think twice about them. Like maybe your transition to doing your bedtime routine of like brushing your teeth and washing your face or whatever you do at night, right? Like that transition could be on autopilot. It's become so easy for your brain, and your brain loves ease. So it doesn't feel chaotic to your brain anymore. It's just so easy, right? So we all have things that don't feel chaotic and some that do, right? So Jody Moore, she also, when she first taught me about transitions, she pointed out something that I didn't notice that in that internal discomfort, we sometimes we buffer that with, for example, with food. Sometimes we buffer that with food. And she gave the example in her own life of grabbing a diet soda. Every time she left the house to do errands, she noticed this pattern of grabbing a diet soda. And she noticed when she was still long enough, right? That's what we do a lot in coaching is like we practice being still long enough, even just for a few moments, just to be still long enough to notice she felt a little internal chaos with that transition. Because, right, she was in her office before that. So she was like in work mode and she has very scheduled work schedule to now shifting to helping her kids get to activities and making sure they're on time and making sure they have all their things for their activities and then they need to wait there and how long is it going to be and are there more parents to talk to and right like there's a lot of chaos for some people right in that transition. I noticed for myself in the past and I'm still working on it at times. But in the past, a lot of the time, I used to buffer with food when I felt uncomfortable at an extended family gathering. And now, as like a detective or observer, right, which is like taking a step back and looking at it, it makes so much sense. And I can be so compassionate, so kind towards my past self for using food to buffer because my brain didn't like how many unknown factors come with being around extended family, right? Like my brain didn't know what to do with all the internal chaos of like, oh, people are pulling out games on tables. Should I do that? Or should I go talk to so and so? Or should I go offer to help in the kitchen? Or what do I remember hearing about that niece that I could talk to her about and start up a conversation? And what does so and so do for a job again? And just so on, right? Like, I just love this perspective, right? We're taking a step back and looking at it. I don't have to beat myself up anymore of like, how could I do that? Why? I didn't have any self-control or like that doesn't serve me to think those kind of thoughts. I can just like take a step back and look at it and be so kind to myself, right? I was using food to try to help buffer the discomfort. I was really uncomfortable inside. And my brain just felt the chaos, right? I was trying to buffer that with food. I remember when I was first learning about this, I set a goal for myself. I'm like, I want to become more comfortable with the uncomfortable, with being uncomfortable, right? And that was my goal. And I remember writing it down and I'd repeat it to myself. I'm like, I am becoming more comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I loved it. And I'm gonna write an episode about it because I had a lot of experiences to back that up. But so I won't go into it now. But just know that we can become more comfortable with the uncomfortable. And we can find ways to deal with that discomfort other than food all the time. Unless you want to. Sometimes I still let food do it once in a while because it's still an old comfort thing for me, and I intentionally let that happen. But I don't want it to be my go-to for all the time with my new goals with my health. So and it just feels healthier overall for my mind to go to other sources. So I'm going to talk more about it later, but just know we can become more comfortable with the uncomfortable. Jody Moore taught me that the brain's job is threefold. It seeks ease, it seeks pleasure, and it helps you avoid danger. So that's awesome. Our brains are doing awesome jobs, right? Those are some great things to help us. And we can help support our brains back, like support them to push ourselves like a little bit to go beyond those natural tendencies by doing healthy things like saying good mantras. I have found is so supportive to my brain. It helps the brain like push past that tendency to just stay in ease, right? That's one of the three full jobs of the brain, right, is to see it seeks ease. So if I repeat a mantra, it helps me push past that tendency to just stay in ease because I also want to do things like fulfill my church callings and grow a business and have kids and you know what I mean? So like expand the amount of love that I feel for people beyond the walls of my home. So I remember doing repeating a mantra every Wednesday night for months when I served in the Young Women's Calling. So like during that drive over to the church, I live really close by, but I I always repeated because I this mantra because noticed that I felt uncomfortable every Wednesday night when I was driving over there inside as my brain just like and even before sometimes I'd get in the car, like I just started feeling uncomfortable because I could tell my brain was going to, how's the activity going to be tonight? Like who should I talk to? What if the activity is a flop? What's that youth's name again? And so on, right? And that's a lot of stuff for my brain to process and to be going through and to care about, right? Our brains are amazing. And I know it's just trying to seek ease. And it's like, this is not easy. So I'm just helping my brain, right? I'm helping it by repeating a mantra. And I tweaked it a number of times until I found something that I liked. And I'm not saying this so you can do this mantra. I just want to show you, like, this is a mantra that I used that helped me. So I'd say something like, I don't always love to be seen, but I love sharing God's love. And going tonight is one way I can do that. So that one little sentence, that helped calm the social anxiety inside of me. It didn't magically go away. I didn't all of a sudden like, now I have no stress. But it brought down the intensity inside my brain. And so it felt like I was supporting myself. I had my back, right? I love mantras. I've come to just love them so much. Another idea instead of a mantra, if that's not your thing, I get it. That's okay. Um, Another idea is you could give thanks. So I'm going to explain. So, like, I like to silently say thanks 2 times. And let me explain. This will be a lot easier. So, I did this last week. So, an example to show this is like during a transition is coming up, like your kids are going to come home from school in 10 minutes, right? So, when I was practicing this last week, I knew my teenager was coming home. And on that day, I knew he had 2 other friends coming over too. So I was in my office working on my coaching material, and then I noticed the clock. It's 10 minutes till Bruce gets home. So I paused for just a moment from what I'm doing, and I said thanks 2 times, meaning like I just silently paused and I expressed thanks. First, to myself for like the tasks I just worked on. I love having my own back and like appreciating what I just did with my time and energy. So like I thanked myself. I'm like, thank you, Cassandra. Like, way to go. I got through that one task that's been on my to-do list. That's awesome. Like, thank you. And then my second thanks is I thank God for the next transition, like my next role or the task that I'm going to be doing next, right? So I'm now shifting. I'm like thanking Heavenly Father for my son. I'm like, I'm thankful my son is coming home from school. I'm thankful he has friends that feel comfortable enough to want to come over here to our home. I'm thankful, right? It's just very simple, very short, right? So those 2 things. So thanks to myself for what I just did. Thanks to God for what's coming, right? The next thing that's about to happen. It's just one idea for an intentional way to switch gears. And I also like taking the few moments after I give thanks. I like thinking of like any of the to-dos, right? That's the arranging part of my brain. So I like to take a moment to think of, okay, so he's coming home. What do I need to do to prepare? Is there a certain chore that he's going to do? So I can have that in my mind, right? Just so the next task is kind of like I'm all ready. So when he walks in, I can show up from this place of gratitude, right? Because I just expressed gratitude and I am calm inside because I know my next steps, right? I'm like going to tell him his next chore. Even with his friends there, we do a little tiny chore. And yeah, just I'm showing up from a place of gratitude and love and calmness, right? And that's the feeling that I want. That's the feeling I want to transition to my next thing. Instead of like him walking in and I'm halfway through a thought and like, oh, hi, like I just want to be fully present. I want to be fully present with the next transition, the next thing that I'm doing, right? The next person I'm going to be with. As I was writing this episode, I thought of the transition that still needs work in my life for my sweet 8-year-old daughter, for the transition to getting to the shower at the nighttime. She does not like stopping playing. And I don't blame her, right? Or either like being outside in the backyard. That transition, that just few moments of just getting to the shower. It's just like torture. And once she's there, she like sings nice and loud and she's having such a good time. But just that transition is something hard for her. So I personally am going to work on being creative around that. So I've got my assignment for this week. I've been a detective and I've noticed that this week that is something that has a little chaos. So that's going to be something I work on this week. Um, I also experimented with another transition of my two girls in the mornings, that transition from the time when they're like eating breakfast and they've got their little tablets to getting upstairs to get ready for school, like getting their clothes on, brush teeth. So that small transition, like it's just there's groaning, there's like boneless limbs, and I don't blame them. Like they were doing something fun. They're eating, they're watching something fun. And it's hard to stop doing that. I get it. I totally do. So I tried a few different things this week. And I'm sharing this because the first two things were a flop. But I wanted to tell you that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to tell him that. I'm like, why not? Of course, I want to tell you those things were flops because I want to encourage you, dear listener, internal peacemaker, that if you try something new, you're like excited, you're like, I'm going to try this new thing, and it doesn't work out the first time or second time, just use that all as good data. Don't beat yourself up. Don't take it personally or think, oh, forget it. I'll never get it. It's too hard. I am on your sidelines cheering you on. I know God is on your sidelines cheering you on too. And just keep experimenting. It's so worth it. So I'm telling you this from experience. So about this transition for my girls, like getting upstairs, right? My first fail was I was like, I'm just going to more cheerfully say it. See how it's very simple, but I'm like, I'm just going to more cheerfully say it's time to go upstairs and find a cute outfit for the day. Like I was trying to word it a little differently, a little playful, a little just cheerfully. Nope, that did not do anything for my girls. So another day I tried um gratitude, right? So I was like, maybe we're gonna try. I tried saying like, it's time to thank your iPads for bringing you joy. And they did, and it was still like moaning and groaning. So still not exactly what I was thinking. I liked that it was a little more gratitude, but it just didn't work. And then the last couple of mornings, I don't care if it sounds cheesy. It sounds cheesy to myself, like even saying it and doing it. It's a little cheesy, but I don't care. I was just so happy how well it worked, this third idea that I tried. So I walked into the living room and I pulled on an imaginary train cord and I said, the mom train is about to leave the station in 10 seconds to go get ready upstairs. And my girls just thought it was so fun. And we like changed it up a little today. We like added a fast and slow part up the stairs on the mom train. And they're just walking behind me. Like I'm not like even like doing the horse or anything. I'm just pretending to be a train. And we like were silly and I had the train break down right when we got to my bedroom because that's where their clothes are in my room. And anyway, just big smiles all around. It felt cheesy to me, but it was playful and the girls were smiling. And I loved feeling like I didn't give up. I was creative to try to help my girls, right, in a transition that was hard for them. Um, it made me think of in the prodigal son story, to me, the parent, the dad, right, is key to the transition, in my mind, is key to the transition of the two sons, right? The one son who returns home and he feels ashamed, and then the other son who feels anger, right? Like it's a transition, like it's a transition to come home after being away for a while, and the other son who just like is feeling these big feelings of anger, right? That his brother came home. So in my mind, the dad was key in helping those two sons transition, right? So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be creative. We're trying to help and always stay close to the spirit, right? And to God, who's our amazing guide. Like, we're going to try our best to help these sweet kiddos that we've been blessed with. Another thing this topic has reminded me of is the way I feel like the apostles and the prophet treat us. Like, I feel like they seem to be preparing us for the transition that it will be for us to be with Jesus at his second coming. I feel like they're trying to help us transition to that wonderful, amazing day. So I feel like he wants us to the prophet wants us to practice and keep practicing now for that transition, right? That we're going to be with him. I love that he and the apostles are doing that for us. It feels very loving, just like I'm trying to do with my girls, right? I'm trying to help them transition to the next thing. So the quizzitive part of my brain, I love that part of my brain. It likes to know the why behind things. And I love this thought from Julie Morgenstern. She wrote this awesome book called Time to Parent. The subtitle says, Organizing Your Life to Bring Out the Best in Your Child and You. Isn't that an awesome title? Who doesn't want to read this book? It's such a good book. But I wanted to read a part because she talks about transitions too. And she gives an idea, um, one idea for it, and a good why, in my opinion, a good why. So let me read this part to you. She said, when it comes to making smooth transitions, the ultimate goal is to be truly in the present. So again, this is answering my why. Why do I want to do this? Because I want to be truly present. It feels so good to be in the present, right? Like you're using your different senses, all that. So let me read it again. When it comes to making smooth transitions, the ultimate goal is to be truly in the present with your kids, job, spouse, friends, and even with yourself when you're at the gym or having a quiet moment. When you make a full and complete transition and are truly here now at work, home, with your kids, friends, spouse, you can get significantly more quality out of significantly less time. When you are crossing any threshold and switching from any one quadrant to another, sorry, I feel like I need to pause there for a second because she talks about parenting comes in four quadrants. She has like a little box in her book, and there's four different ways that we provide for our kids, we relate to our kids, we teach. Provide, relate, teach. And I'm spacing the last one. Provide, relate, teach. Let me find this last one for you. It's a good one. And arrange. That was the last one. Um, arrange, like arranging rides, you're arranging play dates, you're arranging things for their school, right? Like arranging is the awesome thing. We want all four parts of that to provide. Relate is like the play with them and being in their world, providing, and then teaching. So when she says that, switching from any one quadrant to another, sometimes we need that, right? Like we're providing for them, like we're working like Mr. Rogers, right? And now we're moving to relating or we're moving to teaching. And sometimes they overlap a little bit, but this is her idea. So I'm going to keep reading Julie Morgenstern's advice. So she says, this idea, she said, build in a minimum of 10 minutes before you arrive home to shift gears. She goes on to say, the most common challenge working parents share with me is I walk in the door after a long day and I just need a little space before I can handle my kids and the house and all that stuff. And she goes on to say, but kids don't get that. You need a little time to clear your head. They've been missing you all day. So when you're walking through your front door, instead of thinking about your workday or tomorrow's to-dos, shift your focus and ask yourself, when I walk through the door, what is my intention? Maybe it's to be present for your kids and partner, or to make your family laugh. The same is true when you leave home and go to work. Getting out the door in the morning can be hectic and stressful. Just keep in mind that when you are transitioning from one mode or quadrant to the next, you need to prepare yourself, not only to give something different, but also to receive what the people on the other side of that door have to share. Their love, their worries, their stories, their needs. So don't be surprised, be ready. End quote. I love that she reminds me of being ready to receive what the people on the other side of that door have to share, right? Like in the next quadrant or the next thing that you're going to be doing, the next task that you're going to be doing, the next transition that you're about to get to, you're going to be receiving great things, right? Love from different people. Or like you said, like their worries, their stories, their needs, right? But also like their love. It's just kind of an exciting thing to think like you're going to be receiving some great things. So I just love that advice. Don't be surprised. Be ready. And we don't always have or even need, in my opinion, we don't always need 10-minute window. But you could experiment, right? I love experimenting. My sweet kids, I experiment with them all the time. But I just wanted you to feel like more aware of transitions in your life. I hope that's what this episode did. I just wanted you to be like aware that transitions happen. If you're noticing something in your life, or in the lives of your kids, right? I just wanted to give you those ideas that hopefully can help you, right? Because you have a special stewardship, you and I, right? We both have these different special stewardships or missions assigned to you for the children that you have been blessed with, right? And for those in your church callings, for your spouse, for yourself, and like your amazing brain, which needs your kindness and your support to help feel more comfortable in the chaos of shifting. We do this every day. We do these different shifts, we do these different transitions, daily transitions to another role or to another task, like the different quadrants I talked to you about. As an internal peacemaker, you can create some really great intentional transitions for yourself and for your kids. Or I'm gonna say and help teach that to your kids. Maybe they can help you come up with a great transition. And as I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, maybe that's what I'm gonna do for my daughter who currently dislikes getting into the shower transition. Like, I could ask her for ideas. Or like Mr. Rogers uses music. My 8-year-old loves music. So maybe I could ask her. I'm just thinking out loud while I'm talking. This is so wonderful. She might like me to put on one of her favorite songs for her to dance to while she dances up the stairs. I'm so excited about this idea. I'll ask her what she thinks. I'm ready to try again. I love being a creative creator of my life. Best wishes creating yours. Until next week, take care, Internal Peacemaker.